Good evening, viewers. I am Kendall Richmond with tonight's regional news, beginning with news from Brazil. Brazilian presidential candidate Sergio Moro called in an interview day for the political center to unite behind him in order to beat extreme alternatives on his left and right at this October's election. Moro is running third in most opinion polls, which show leftist former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva with a clear lead over right-wing incumbent Jair Bolsonaro. As a federal judge, Moro put Lula behind bars on corruption charges that were later annulled. He served in Bolsonaro's government as justice minister but resigned in 2020, accusing the president of meddling in the federal police to protect his sons. In a race polarized between the two leading candidates, Moro said voters would be forced to choose between Bolsonaro, who mishandled the COVID-19 pandemic, and Lula, who wants to brush under the carpet the graft scandals that rattled governments under his Workers' Party. We now turn our attention to news from Belize. Chester Williams, police commissioner, has confirmed that spikes have been placed across roads to prevent law enforcement officials from intercepting at least two planes carrying illegal drug into Belize this week. The aircraft crashed in Fireburn Village, Orange Walk District, northwest from the capital. Authorities said that the cargo and plane had disappeared by the time they reached illegal strip. Williams claimed that the planes were tracked from South America while en route to this region. He claimed that the plane might have landed in Graham Creek near the Belize-Guatemalan border. Williams said the police will continue to hunt down those engaged in the illegal trade, acknowledging that they have become very sophisticated. In Cuba, Russia has agreed to postpone some debt payments owed to it by communist-run Cuba until 2027, its lower house of parliament said on Wednesday, just days after the two countries announced that they would deepen ties amid the spiraling Ukraine crisis. The loans worth $2.3 billion and provided to Cuba by Russia between 2006 and 2019 helped underwrite investments in power generation, metals, and transportation infrastructure, according to a statement from the lower house, or Duma. On Tuesday, Russian lawmakers ratified an agreement originally signed with Cuban counterparts in Havana in 2021 that amended the loan terms, the statement said. Cuba last week expressed support for Russia in its showdown with Western powers over Ukraine following a visit from Russian Deputy Prime Minister Yuri Borisov and accused a longtime rival, the United States and its allies, of targeting Moscow with what it called a propaganda war and sanctions. We end tonight's regional news with an update on the Russian-Ukraine invasion. Russian forces have launched a military assault on neighboring Ukraine, crossing its borders and bombing targets near big cities. In a pre-dawn TV statement, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Russia did not plan to occupy Ukraine and demanded that its military lay down their arms. Moments later, attacks were reported on Ukrainian military targets. Russia's military breached the border in a number of places in north, south, and east, including from Belarus, a longtime Russian ally. About 10 civilians are believed to have been killed, including 6 in an airstrike near the capital. A Ukrainian presidential advisor said that more than 40 soldiers had died and dozens more were wounded. Ukraine said it had killed 50 Russian troops and shot down 6 Russian aircraft, but this has not been verified. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced martial law across all of Ukraine, severed all diplomatic relations with Russia, and said weapons would be distributed to anyone who wanted them. Several neighboring countries have begun preparations to take in a large number of refugees. And that is all for your regional news. Thank you for joining.